Gotcha. See the change?
What's that?
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so,
Some of them I sure couldn't tell if it was from lunch or was there this morning with notice. Might try some. Check 1 2, check 1 2. One, two, check 1 2. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Testing. Test 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing, testing. Check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. Test. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
We're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to have a moment of silence for a former employee, Mark Lemon, that just recently passed away. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to start off with the approval of the minutes for Tuesday, May 17th. If there is no discussion, we'll take that as unanimous consent. Okay, thank you. Right now. Okay, we're going to go into an executive session for personnel and legal. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to mention before we started the board meeting, I forgot to mention that before the meeting, we had an executive session for safety in compliance with Act 44, and no action was taken there. Up on the agenda, we are up to Mr. Stage on the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Cheresnowski. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to use my time to request the board amend the agenda as it is, as it looks this evening. First of all, I'd like you to make 3 changes to the personnel listing. These are administrative changes under the Act 93 agreement that includes a memorandum of understanding to go along with it. I request for you to add the elimination of the assistant principal at Harlan Rowe Middle School effective July 1st, 2022. I request a second action by the board to create an Act 93 position entitled the Principal of Student Affairs at Harlan Rowe Middle School. And then I would request the board vote on, this would be my 3rd request, to transfer staff. I would transfer Mr. William Clark to the Athens Area High School to serve as principal with a salary of $107,315 and some change. And I would ask the board to transfer Mr. Corey Mosier to Harlan Rowe Middle School Principal of Student Affairs with a salary the same as he currently is at. Under contracts, I would like you to add the memorandum of understanding between the Athens Area School District and the Act 93 administrators. This MOU is under Article 2 definitions, where we delete the 12-month position of Harlan Rowe Middle School Assistant Principal and create the 12-month administrative position, Harlan Rowe Middle School Principal of Student Affairs. My request, the justification for my request is twofold. One, I would like to provide the necessary support and resources to the Harlan Rowe Middle School, working with the specific population of students in grades 6, 7, and 8. And I would like Mr. Mosier to use his skill set to help make those systemic changes in that building along with Mr. Jim Schmeg. My request is to amend the budget. The board, you need to first vote on amending the budget, adding those items, and then voting on those as you get to them within the section. So those 3 items I would ask to be under personnel and 1 item under contracts, and that would be to amend the MOU or to agree on the MOU amending the Act 93 agreement as stated. You have the papers in front of you.
Yep.
I'm open for questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Stage? Or comment? Yep. Need a
Mrs.
motion
Cooper.
and a second to amend it?
Mrs. Cooper will move.
I'll second.
Hey, Christine, when you're ready. You good? Okay.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smurf,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Is absent.
Absent.
Mrs. Minnick.
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski, that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, we have no one for the Blast IU. Mr. Owen for the Northern Tier Career Center. Do you have a report, please?
Yeah, a few items to share today. First of all, the Career Center Awards Day was held on May 26th at the Towanda High School. Several awards were given to students, 13 of which were awarded to Athens students. Also, looking forward to the 2022-2023 enrollment at the Career Center. Preliminary numbers are at 489 students enrolled in the Career Center. In comparison to last year, that's 46 more students than were enrolled at this time last year. There's still some more time throughout the summer to complete enrollment. And as a reminder, as I announced before, right, there are 2 new programs that were added this year. So that additional 46 students, part of that is because of these new programs, of which are early childhood development and diversified occupations. I don't have a breakdown at this point of how many of those students are from Athens, but can get that if anyone's interested. And lastly, our very own Mr. Sage has served as the superintendent of record for the past couple of years at the Career Center. Typically, it would be time to turn this over to another superintendent, but due to some changes in other school districts, Mr. Sage has graciously offered to stay on board for 1 more year as the superintendent of record at the Career Center. So thank you, Mr. Sage, for that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Mr. Jones is not here tonight, so there will be no PSBA report. Mr. Barrett, Solicitor's report, please.
We have several things. We've been working on some personnel matters which we're trying to resolve. We also have filed the eminent domain complaint, which you authorized last meeting, and we're attempting to serve all the creditors and parties of interest in that property. We are still working on, and probably always will be working on, some tax appeals. I have a pretrial tomorrow on one, and we'll be giving reports on those later as I keep the superintendent and the business manager abreast of those. That concludes. I'm also scheduled to attend the school solicitors workshop in 2 weeks, I think. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say that the eminent domain has been filed?
Yes.
Okay, we are up to visitor comments. These are visitor comments for board action items only. Board action items only. Please give your name, address, organization which you represent, subject matter. It is requested that comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. If you have 1 minute left, I'll put my hand up for 1 minute left. Do we have any visitor comments for board action items only? Okay. Up next, we have the adoption of the 2022-2023 Athens Area School District General Fund Budget. And Ms. Shores.
All right, I have a very short budget presentation. So you all got a copy in front of you. This year, our revenues are totaling $45,409,675. That differs from what you have based off of the $48,000 that we discussed in executive session. Our expenditures are the same, which means we have a balanced budget. We have no tax increase. We're spending about $3 million of our ESSER funds, some mental health workers, math curriculum, summer school teachers, aides, some building improvements at Rowe, playground equipment at SRU, Daily 5 curriculum. We have some non-ESSER funded projects, the track refurbish, parking lot repairs, district vans, some locker painting, new locker signage, some just miscellaneous projects. Based off of my last budget presentation, there's only a $44,000 difference that you'll see in your packet. We just allocated ESSER funds to cover that $44,000. So I ask that you approve our budget for $45,409,676. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
I do want to say thank you very much for your
Thank
work
you.
and pulling this together. It's a really clear report, really easy to follow and understand, and I appreciate you helping us to a
Thank you.
balanced budget.
Thank you.
Thank you for not cutting and pasting.
Thank you, Jenny. Do I have a motion and a second to adopt the 2022-2023?
Natalie
Athens Area School
Smart
District?
moves.
A second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, go ahead, Christine.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrod-Snowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee.
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
and Mr. Owen.
Yes.
Okay, we are up to financial business. Do I have a motion and a second to bring this to vote?
Motion.
Lisa Braun, second.
Okay, this is the listing of the bills, general funds, cafeteria bills, secretary and treasurer report, earned income tax report, and the acceptance of federal grants allocation request for next year. Any discussion? Okay, Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nelson.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes. Bless you.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
and Mr. Rude.
Yes.
Okay. We are up to personnel items. Do I have a motion and a second? Actually, before we do that, I'd like to pull letter D and vote on that separately. So I'd like this to be personnel items, letter A, B, C, and E together, and then we'll vote on D separately. Okay? So does anybody make a motion and a second for letters A, B, C, and E?
Natalie Smart, move.
I need a second, please.
Kevin Root,
It's just a
second.
question. So letter E includes the items that Mr. Stage
Yes, I'm
added earlier, correct?
correct. Letter E will be the amendment that Mr. Stage just brought up, yes.
Would you like to pull those last three items to vote on them separately?
I was just clarifying that they
That
were
they're on
included in,
there.
that they were
Got it.
included
Okay,
in.
understand.
Yep.
Understood. So we have a motion.
Kevin
I
Root,
believe,
second.
And a second, okay. So this is again for letters A, B, C, and E. Are there any questions or discussion on A, B, C, and E?
No.
Go ahead when you're ready, Christine.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nelson.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
and Mrs. Smart.
Yes.
Okay, now I need a motion and a second for letter D under personnel.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
This is the request from Ms. Shores on raising the student workers from $9 to $10 an hour. Any discussion on that? Okay, when you're ready, Christine.
No.
Mr. Charles-Nelson,
I abstain.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
and Ms. Braun.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Craig.
I'd just like to, now that the personnel, I'd like to welcome Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, welcome back. Thank you very much. We're excited to have you. And also, thank you, Mr. Moser and Mr. Schmack. I think you guys are doing an excellent job. Thank you.
Okay, we are now up to contracts and agreements. Do I have a motion and a second? This will be A through H. This does have the amendment that Mr. Stage brought on to us earlier, letter H. Do I have a motion and second?
Make a motion.
Okay, any discussion on these? These are the technology agreement, the Blast IU IDA agreement, the North Interior Career Counseling Service Agreement, the Children's House Linkage Agreement, Memorandum of Understanding between Bradford County Humane Services and School District, Bradford County Head Start, copy paper vid, and the MOU that Mr. Stage just brought on. What's that? Okay. Okay, Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick, Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
and Mr. Charles-Nelson.
Yes. Okay, we are up to number 10, curriculum and instruction items. Do I have a motion and a second for curriculum instruction?
I make a motion.
Lisa Braun, second.
Okay, this is the request to dispose of the old math resources and the adoption of the new math curriculum resources. Do we have any questions for Mr. Toscano about this?
So how are you going to dispose of them? Like what's, okay.
What's the volume? A lot?
Couple hours.
We did get to take back one of these extra set they delivered out to SRU, but that was quite a process. At no charge to us, it was their issue. But it's not insignificant.
Is it useful material? So maybe we could let people in the district know if someone wanted.
So if we can't donate it, yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Currently, see if they want to send it home to our kids. If they don't want it, then we would.
Okay. Okay.
There used to be a market for resellers, people that would buy that stuff, but that market is not viable anymore. It's
Okay.
almost cost money now to sell them.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, Christine, go ahead.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Yes. Mr. Owen?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Ms. Braun?
Yes.
Mr. Terrence-Nowski?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Okay, there is no transportation. There is no building and grounds. We are up to visitor comments. Please give your name, address, organization which you represent. Subject matter, if requested, that the comments be kept under 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of this meeting when there's 1 minute left. I'll let you know there's 1 minute left. Do we have any visitor comments? Yep, we have one comment. Good evening.
There's a switch is on the other side. It should be on this side. But anyway, excuse me. Put it on. Okay. There are 2 questions I have to ask, and one is I'd like to know who and how I approach to do a curriculum review of all the curriculum that is being used in the district right now. Everything is online.
You can find a lot of it on our website, correct, Mrs. Knapp? But the person you want to talk to is right there, Mr. Toscano. He can walk you through
But
probably.
being able to specifically review it and look at it, is that a doable situation? Textbooks, lesson plans, anything that might be used specifically in the area of social and emotional support?
Yeah, Mrs. Knapp, I would set up a meeting with Mr. Toscano and I think we can work through that.
The other question is the budget. That's online. The one that we did tonight, is that online? And the revised is online as well? Okay. There's been some crazy and unusual things going on through the state of things that are being done in schools. And I have heard from a reliable source in this area of something that's going on in Athens School District that I'd like to verify with the board members. There is a situation where they are actually putting litter boxes in bathrooms, or I was told. So that's why I'm coming here to clear it up.
I will answer that question.
Okay.
Unequivocally, the answer is absolutely, without a question, no. There's never been a litter box in any of our bathrooms, and as long as I sit here, there won't be.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. There is a school. And people are really getting it confused. The school is actually in Athens, Michigan, not Athens, Pennsylvania.
Actually, there was someone in the Athens district that said that it was being done in the schools. So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
My principals were right there. Are there any litter boxes? No. Will there be? No. Will I let you?
No. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, because that, like I said.
Were any of you asked to put a litter box in a bathroom? No. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
I
That's
like
great.
that question. That was an easy one.
That's great to know. The other question I have is is any testing being done for COVID on premises at the school?
No,
Is it all done to the hospital then?
we don't test on property. We don't even have access to tests.
And has Athens School District entered into any contract with Ginkgo Biotech Technologies?
No.
Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome.
If you have easy questions like that, you're welcome back anytime.
Any other visitor comments? Any other visitor comments? No? Okay. Oh. I thought that was one.
Hi, I'm Deb Huber. You all know where I live. Been by my house, I'm sure, a lot of times if you go down Main Street. I'm involved with Saving Our Children. I'm involved with Robert Kennedy Jr.'s Children's Health Defense. I watched with 60 other individuals, biologists, immunologists, doctors, on Friday when they passed, the FDA passed unanimously to allow an EUA to be injected into 6-month to 4-year-olds. So we've already established that for 5 to 11-year-olds with a 27% myocarditis effect. I want you to know that you need to watch your students this summer when they start playing in the heat. Over 1,000 soccer players, football players, tennis players throughout internationally have dropped dead on the field from the injection. So I just wanted to read this real quick. I'm not going to try to do anything but save our kids. Fauci and NIH knew it was a lab leak at best and an intentional release at worst. Fauci and NIH were aware that the furin levels sites almost guaranteed a certain level of acute danger. Number 3, Fauci and NIH were aware of many candidate solutions that included hydrochloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D, and even small protein inhibitors. Nothing was said to anyone. Fauci and NIH started the world off on the wrong foot with the novel campaign and PCR testing. If our children are involved in any of the Ginkgo biotech, I think Sarah is, there's a number of labs that are using it. The data is being sold. Parents are not aware of it. Wake up, America. We are in a bio war. The pandemic is a result of a mountain of misdirected funding directed at the acquisition, enrichment, and biological technology mining of the coronavirus, diversity present in nature, and the subsequent effort to hide this. I am fully aware what happens in our community, and I'm begging you because you folks have been so good about this whole mandate issue and whatever, but we need to draw attention to this if this should enter into our school district. And I would like that to be public knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other visitor comments? Mrs. Claire.
Kate Clare, Dunkley Hill, Athens Township. I want to thank the school board, administration, everybody for how they handled COVID. My husband and I have nothing but praises for how Athens School District handled the entire pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other visitor comments? Okay. We have some board communications. We have some internal personnel movements. We have the Sunday facility use request for July, nutrition group newsletter. Are there any board discussion items at this time? I'd like to say one thing. I want to say congrats to the class of 2022. I thought the ceremony was absolutely beautiful that night. The night was gorgeous.
It was
I just want to say
beautiful.
congratulations, and everything was well done. So thank you, all the administration, all the students, all the teachers and staff that were a part of that. It was beautiful.
It
So thank you.
was.
Any other board discussion items?
I just want to also say thank you to all the teachers and staff for the school year this year.
Yes.
I mean, you did a phenomenal job. I know my kids personally have told me it was the best year ever. So it's been a great year, and we really appreciate all your efforts.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay, our next planned meeting is Tuesday, July 26th, back here at the admin office at 7 p.m. There is no need for an executive session. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Cooper will move.
Second.
Thank you. All have a good evening.